When we think about retirement advice, it almost always boils down to one thing: saving. How much do you have? How much do you need? But what if one of the biggest secrets to a truly happy retirement isn't about what you gain, but about what you strategically decide to let go of? It's a different way of thinking that can really boost your confidence as you head into this next big chapter of your life.
And that really is the big question, isn't it? For well over a decade, financial advisors have noticed something interesting. The happiest, most fulfilled retirees often aren't the ones who just keep adding more. They're the ones who've learned how to subtract wisely. It's a powerful mental shift that can completely change how you see your retirement years. So, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll dig into this new retirement secret. Then, we'll look at some of your biggest financial assets, like your home and family. After that, we'll talk about letting go of some personal burdens and even redefining your own identity. And finally, we'll give you a simple framework for making these decisions and wrap up with the key takeaways.
Okay, let's really unpack this idea. When we talk about strategically letting go, this isn't about depriving yourself. Not at all. It's about optimizing. It's about clearing out the clutter, both financial and mental, to make room for the things that are truly going to bring you joy in retirement.
So, who is this for? Well, it's really for two kinds of people. Maybe you're on the left side of this screen constantly asking yourself, do I really have enough saved up? If that's you, this strategy can give you a huge boost of financial confidence. Or maybe you're on the right side. You're feeling good about your savings and you're just ready to shout, it's time for my go years. Well, this approach can help you get the absolute most out of every single one of them.
All right, let's dive into the area that can have the biggest financial impact of all. And we're talking about things that are really at the heart of our lives, our home, and even our financial ties to our family. Now, I know these can be tough decisions, but stick with me because the payoff can be absolutely enormous.
Just think about the house you're in right now. It was probably the perfect size when you were raising a family, right? But now, with the kids all grown up and out on their own, it might feel, well, a little oversized. Let me tell you about a couple from Illinois. They raised 5 kids in their home. They absolutely loved their town, but the house itself had just become way more than they needed. So here's what they did. By selling that big family house, they were able to unlock $200,000 in home equity. And this wasn't just some number on a spreadsheet. This was the key that unlocked their dream retirement. It gave them the cash to buy a smaller, more manageable condo for the summer, right in the town they loved, and it funded a whole new adventure, becoming snowbirds down in a warmer state for the winter.
And the good news didn't stop there. On top of that big chunk of cash, they also slashed their yearly expenses by $15,000. Think about that. That's money they were no longer pouring into heating empty bedrooms, maintaining a huge yard, and paying sky-high property taxes. All of a sudden, that became brand new cash flow for their travels, their hobbies, and their life.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? The biggest win for them wasn't just about the money. It was about freedom. By letting go of that big house, they shed all the work and worry that came with it. And for the first time in a long time, they could focus on managing their lives and their time, not managing their property.
Okay, now for what might be the most sensitive topic of all. This isn't about selling something you own, but about stopping something you might be doing. And that's financially supporting your adult children, especially if it puts your own retirement at risk. I know this can go against every parental instinct we have, but it's a really important conversation to have for your own financial well-being.
And here's the bottom line. It's a hard truth, but it's crucial. Your children, they have decades ahead of them to build their careers and recover from any financial bumps in the road. There are loans for college, for cars, for houses, but there are no loans for retirement. Your time to save is limited, and your funds are finite. The truth is, securing your own retirement is one of the greatest gifts you can ever give your kids.
Okay, so we've talked about the big assets. Now let's shift gears and talk about some of the more personal burdens we tend to accumulate over the years. I'm talking about those hobbies and toys from our working lives. You know, the boat, the RV, the expensive collections that can quietly turn into major drains on our finances and our energy in retirement. This slide tells the story of a man named Tom, and his passion was restoring classic cars. On the left, you see what it meant to him. The pride, the craftsmanship, it was part of his identity. But on the right, you see the reality of it in retirement. It was costing him $12,000 a year in storage, insurance, and upkeep for cars he barely ever drove. His passion had become a source of stress.
But it was his wife who really put it all into perspective with this one simple observation. He only drove the cars maybe 6 times a year, so the math was just brutal. That one sentence made the abstract cost of his collection suddenly feel very, very real. So what did Tom do? Well, his solution was actually pretty brilliant because it wasn't about giving up his passion entirely. He kept his number one, absolute favorite car, the one that really meant the most to him. He sold the other 4 to other collectors, which immediately cut his annual expenses by $9,000 and freed up $180,000 in cash. He managed to keep all the joy of the hobby, but he got rid of the financial burden.
Here's another quick, really practical example. A couple realized that, hey, without a daily commute to work, maybe we don't need 2 cars anymore. So they did a simple test. For 2 months, they just pretended they only had 1 car. And you know what? They found it was way easier than they'd imagined. They sold that second car, and now they have an extra $3,000 a year for things they really love, like travel.
So far, we've talked about tangible things, houses, cars, collections, but this journey of letting go also goes deeper, to something you can't see or touch, but might be the most important thing of all. We're talking about your work identity. This slide really captures the journey of a retired surgeon. For 30 years, his entire identity was wrapped up in that title, Dr. Michael Miller. When he retired, he felt this profound sense of loss. He felt like he was now just Michael Miller. He was clinging to an old identity from his past life instead of discovering who he could be in his new one. His breakthrough came when he finally let go of trying to recreate his old life and instead started exploring who he could become now. He rediscovered an old passion for woodworking. He started mentoring young surgeons, sharing his wisdom. And most importantly, he embraced his new role as Grandpa Michael. All these wonderful new identities that had been buried under 60-hour work weeks. This wasn't a loss of identity at all. It was a beautiful expansion of it.
Okay, so this all sounds great, but you might be wondering, how do I actually apply this to my own life? Well, I want to give you a very simple 3-question framework that can help you decide what to keep and what might be time to let go of.
The first question forces you to really think about this transition you're in. Ask yourself, am I keeping this thing out of pure habit, or does it genuinely add value to the life I want to live right now? Is it for the person you were, or for the person you are becoming? The second question is about getting honest about the total cost. And I don't just mean the money. Think about the time it takes up, the mental energy it requires, the stress it might be causing you, and then ask, what else could I be doing with all of that money, time, and energy? And this final question, this one might be the most powerful, because it completely reframes the whole decision. Instead of focusing on what you might be losing, it shifts your focus to opportunity and what you could gain. What new experiences could you find? What stress could you eliminate? How much better would your life feel if this one thing was simplified?
And if you're still not sure about a big decision, here's a great little trick. Try the 90-day test. Before you do anything permanent, just live without it for 3 months. Park the RV in storage. Put the second car in the garage. Just act as if it's already gone. You might be shocked to discover that you don't miss it at all. In fact, you might just feel relieved and free.
All right, let's bring this all together with the key takeaways. This whole philosophy is really about one thing: taking control. It's about actively designing the retirement you truly want, not just passively accepting the one you've happened to accumulate over the years.
This quote just captures the whole idea perfectly. Every single thing you decide to keep requires a piece of your most valuable retirement assets: your attention, your money, and your energy. The goal is to make sure you're spending those precious resources on what truly brings you joy and fulfillment today.
And so that's the final thought I want to leave you with. Take a moment right now and think about your own life. In your retirement, what do you own and what owns you? Answering that question with total honesty is the very first step toward a simpler, more joyful life. If you found this video helpful, please like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Retirement Finance Explained, for simple and clear guidance on retirement, savings, and financial security.